Good morning, quilt people and seekers of the world. How are you? I am doing great. I'm excited about today's topic, how we awaken. Oh, wow. And I'm just here to share my experience on my path and my journey in terms of what I have seen and experienced, mostly through my healing journey, as many of you have heard about, known about, read about, in terms of me being diagnosed with a crippling neurological movement disorder that I essentially had to cure myself from. And for that, I am blessed. That is, as I described, the worst thing that ever happened to me, and yet the greatest thing that ever happened to me. So if you're struggling with a tough diagnosis, rest assured it can be your bridge to a new life, to a better life, if you take the time to discover why it's there for you. Because it is there for you as a gift, as a calling, as something to chase and understand its gifts. Same with trauma. Trauma is there for you for a reason, and you have it this lifetime, this go round, for a very specific journey. What are the gifts of your trauma? But in all of this, this is how we awaken, and it all starts with one thing, and that's presence. Being present to the moment, being present to the room you're in, being present to yourself without attachment to anything else. It often feels like the world's kind of gone crazy, and maybe it has a little bit. But that is just them forgetting who they are, forgetting that they are the solution and not the problem. And to talk about the solution is to live in the solution, and to talk about the problem is to live in the problem. Which do you do? Do you talk about the solutions, or do you talk about the problems? Are you out in the world trying to fix and fight? Or are you at home fixing and fighting what's in here? Ultimately, I discovered that my work doesn't live out in the world. My work lives in here. My work associates with everything that's going on with Dale and my vibe. How am I vibing? Because our outrage heals none. And we can fix and fight everything that we see and try and fix and fight out there, or we can, again, stay home, be quiet, fix and fight what's in here, knowing that we cannot help others unless, of course, they ask specifically for your help. But to go out in the world and try and help is just to cause more chaos. So presence is the first step. Being present to the moment. And that requires us to abandon the timeline, not something we've really been shown before. Because when you get present to the room you're in, you understand that the past is an illusion and that the future is an illusion. And the only thing you have is the current conscious present moment. And to involve yourself in anything outside of that is insanity. That's not what you want to be focused on. You don't want to be focused on illusion. The past and the future are far off distant lands that no one has ever visited. And yet we're trying to fix and fight the current conscious present moment based off of illusion of what happened or what might happen. There's no presence there. There's just chaos there. Abandon the timeline. Enter presence. It is getting clear that thinking is the problem and presence is the solution. In thinking, we invoke chaos. We invoke, seeing things as good and bad and right and wrong. Thinking is the voice of the ego, and the voice of the ego is what we're trying to silence, and we silence that through presence. How many hours a day are you spending in presence, in quiet. And if you must think, it is to ponder, not to involve yourself in attack thoughts. That is the voice of the ego. That is the voice of chaos. That is what we are trying to silence. Does your work live out in the world, in justice causes, in trying to fix and fight others? Or does your work live in here, in stillness, in presence, in power? Spirituality is a journey for one. You can't share it with others, but you can go on it yourself. Start by getting present. Start by, in your mind, meditating for hours until the gifts that are there begin to be revealed to you, because it's through that portal that you start to jailbreak the entire matrix and bend it all to your will. That's where the power lives. Not out there. That's not your cause. It doesn't matter what they're doing. I just saw a really surprising ruling by the Supreme Court this morning. I could be upset by that, or I could know that has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me. That's not my work. That's not where my work lives. My work is right here, inside. It's an inside job and a journey for one. And I get to take myself to the edge of the still water. And I get to put myself in the boat that I find there and go out to the middle of the lake and experience still water, knowing that's where you jailbreak everything and you gain real access to power. Real access to power. That's where it's found. In surrender, in quiet, in knowing that if we want peace, we've got to learn how to be peaceful. It's not a difficult concept. Be peaceful. Be a way shower towards peace, not towards chaos. If you're involving yourself in justice causes, in trying to get back at someone, in attack thoughts, in trying to fix something, in seeing the world as good and bad and right and wrong, the ego cannot understand itself beyond itself. So if your mind is riddled with good and bad and right and wrong, you have a mind riddled and taken over by your ego. Because the ego will always try and understand the world through, the axioms of good and bad and right and wrong. But there's a whole other sense of presence beyond that, where you experience essentially ego death, which is completely terrifying and very painful. Good luck. Right? But once you experience ego death and you no longer associate with good and bad and right and wrong, but rather step into the oneness that Gaia is, the oneness of what is, the oneness of power, the oneness of God, the oneness of love. Understanding that all the crazy out there, it has nothing to do with me. That's not where my work lives. This is a journey for one. And I will be a way shower for peace and love and tranquility and the paradigm shift away from seeing things as good and bad and right and wrong, but rather understanding that, like in God's plan, it's all perfect. And that all that is just consciousness trying to work itself out. And I don't have to devolve into the ick, into the good and bad and right and wrong. I don't have to involve myself in that, because you can't participate in the crazy without being crazy. Don't do that. That chaos that you're bringing into yourself, It's unnecessary. It's infantile. It's juvenile. We're moving beyond that. See everything as perfection. Can you do that? Can you celebrate the evolution of mankind and go, yep, that's just consciousness working itself out. Good luck. Enjoy your ego death. It all is you. So what are you doing for you on your journey? When I went to have my Sacred Earth and Plant Medicine retreat, I was surprised at how I was falling short, even though I had dedicated my life to this. Check out how many videos I've done in trying to just uncover my own consciousness, my own higher thinking, my own awakening, right? And yet, when I surrounded myself with more powerful beings with higher consciousness than myself, I saw how I was still falling short. I didn't have a practice. I didn't have a devotion. My daily routine didn't reflect that journey. It reflected still chaos on some levels. And so now I have a practice. Now I live in devotion. I live beyond good and bad and right and wrong and start every day with an internal journey. I wake up at anywhere from 3 to 4 a.m. and begin my practice. And my day starts by stepping into my own personal power, knowing that anything I do not have is that which I have not granted to myself. So I grant it to myself. I give it to myself. I love myself. I take care of myself. I give myself everything, anything I want. I mean, it's that easy. Hooray. Right? It's that easy. Anything you do not have is that which you have not granted to self. Associate with self as the highest being that you know. Right? Can you stand there and bless yourself and give yourself everything that you need, standing in power, knowing that all the love, all the joy, all the devotion, all the money, the standing in the world, everything is me granting that to me. I'm not out in the world looking for that. No, I'm at home, giving myself personal power and standing in it and discovering joy because I'm like a little self-sustaining engine, right? And I can give myself anything. I can grant myself anything. I am the power. The power doesn't live out there anymore. There's nothing out there that holds power over me. I'm like, oh, good luck. Have fun. But my power is self-granted. Everything is self-granted. Everything is here. Me giving to myself on my own say-so because I am worthy and I am love and I am the expression of everything that I've ever wanted to see in the world. The opposite of pain is not pleasure. The opposite of pain is presence, with no association to the past and no association to the future. Presence, power, joy, love. Because if your problem isn't in the room, you don't have a problem, you have an illusion. An illusion is always the number one enemy of the work. How many videos have we done on that? Illusion of the past, illusion of the future, illusion of that which is not in the room yet you are naming as true. Abandon illusion first and foremost. Get present to your life, knowing that everything you're seeking is found in one place. And that one place is stillness and quiet. Read books. Be reflective. Grant to self. Love yourself. And know more than anything that this is how we awaken. I love you all. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you get something out of this.